1:30 on Thursday. So we're 30 minutes later than usual, but I appreciate you guys working with me here today. Let me just be sure I'm actually transmitilating over here. Hey, Marva, I appreciate you coming. I guess I put enough notices out that I was going to be late. That's good. All right. So just a fair warning, we are having a thunderstorm go through right now. So if I suddenly drop off, you may know that that is the problem. Hi, Rosie. Hey, Rocky. Appreciate you coming. I think I'm gonna back this out just a little bit. That was a lot. Okay. Hi, Faith. Hi, Karen, Lorraine, and Judy, and Amy. Appreciate you guys coming. I had to go to my Pilates today, and I didn't get quite as early as I was hoping for. I usually go on Fridays, but I have to get my hair done tomorrow, and so we couldn't do it. So she shoehorned me in, and that was a good thing. And so thank you for adjusting your day. So here's our card for today. It is a birthday card, as you can see. You know why you can tell? Because it says happy birthday on the front. And it uses the new Charming Day bundle, and this is coming to you in July. You'll be able to get it as a customer on the 1st of July when the new online exclusives come out. And it is a bundle with some beautiful dies. And I have also used the mini corrugated 3D embossing folder and the textured notes, which, as I understand, is not available right now, but this will be back. So y'all be watching for it if you don't already have it. It's a wonderful set and you need it in your arsenal. My DSP here today is called The Need for Tweed. So you're welcome to say it like Tom Cruise would. I feel the need for tweed. I'm pretty sure that's what they were thinking when they named it. And it's quite beautiful. It gives you a lot of texture without any additional thickness to your card. And then just on the inside, I've just used some basic beige and a little flower. So all of this will be on my blog tomorrow. Mary, what state do I live in? I live in Georgia, just south of Atlanta. So thank you. Yes, we're on Eastern time here, and we seem to get afternoon storms marching through every afternoon. The good news is it's all straight line, so nothing scary in there. All right, so let's go ahead and get started since I've already got you late this week. All right, we're going to start with a pecan pie card base of 5.5 by 8.5, and I have scored it at 4 1/4, and I'm going to take a 4 1/4 by 5.5 piece of the Need for Tweed DSP and adhere it to the front of this card base. All right, so I'm going to use liquid glue. It's my favorite of the adhesives, as most of you know. And one thing I will tell you when you are measuring out DSP that you want to be the same size as your card front, you may find you get a little bit of excess down here, and that's okay. You can just trim it off. Even when you cut it exactly the same, you're going to find frequently that it doesn't quite work. So you'll have just a little bitty bit down there, and I am just not going to worry about it. It's so little that I don't think it's going to be an issue, and I think trying to cut it off is going to be problematic. But if it had any more, I would try to trim it with my trimmer. Okay, so some card cuts that I have already done for you. Using the textured notes dies, I have a piece of basic beige. This is my most frequently used die in this card. I've used it for this basic beige piece and also for this piece from the Need for Tweed. Okay. And then I used the next largest one to cut out a piece of pecan pie. And then I embossed that in that mini 3D embossing folder. All right, so it's got a lot of texture here, and I like that. That makes me very happy. Texture makes me happy. Okay, let's put this away. Now, I want this piece to be longer than this piece, but you can see that that isn't a thing. So what I did is we're going to have it be a fake. So I'm just going to cut this in half. And then I'm going to use liquid glue, and I know I want it right in the center of my panel, my card front. And I want the two edges to be about the same distance from the edge and even at the top. Okay, that's very rocket sciencey, I know. So you live in East Florida and Minnesota. Oh, we're from all over. That's so cool. Hey, Sandra, appreciate you coming. All right, so we're going to put this one on, and you can, if you want, use your grid paper to get everything lined up and straight. And I'll bet I can still get it a little crookedy. It's my superpower. Crookedy is my thing. So here I'm using this line right here on the grid paper, the 0. And I'm just kind of trying to keep it straight along there and then make this distance about the same on both sides. Could I get my ruler out? Yeah. Am I going to get my ruler out? Nope. It's just going to have to be right, just like it is, okay? Now, I'm going to take this next piece and we're going to adhere it like that. Look at that. Magically, I have a larger but narrower rectangle die cut. How about that? All right. So we're going to use liquid glue here. I really do like liquid glue for these corrugated things because it tends to squish down and get everything adherified. All right, so we're going to kind of center that up on the card and on the die cut, like so. And there you go. Now I'm going to turn my fan on because I don't know how I can always be hot, even with my air conditioner running really good. Okay, so next thing, this little piece of the Need for Tweed, you can see it's quite green on the other side, so I'm not using that side on this card. That would be weird. That would just look weird, but I am going to use some dimensionals, and I'm keeping my dimensionals kind of near the center because the top and bottom edge are going to be off of the card base, the cardstocks that I already have on there, so we'll kind of try to catch it with these dimensionals. Yes, I know that was a lot of dimensionals. I know. But there's never too many dimensionals. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, come off of there now. All right. I hope you guys have had a good week. Today is Juneteenth, so nobody's getting any mail. Can't go to the bank. But I hope you're having a good week anyway. All right, there we go. So this wanted to be just a little bit crookedy. Why? Because the sketch that I was following had a crooked thing right there. Okay, so I know. I've been trying to do that. I really have. It's not easy for me because it's so much easier for me to just flick them all over the place, but I'm trying not to. Okay, we'll set that aside. Let's talk about some die cuts. Using the Charming Day die set, I have cut out this flower right here. I've cut it out twice, once in Old Olive and a second time in Petal Pink. And then I've used this leaf die, which is beautiful. It's now officially one of my favorite leaf dies ever. I've cut 2 of those in Old Olive, okay? And we're going to make a sentiment, but we're not going to do it until we've done these flowers up, okay? So I wanted a petal pink flower, but I thought a petal pink leaves and stem was weird. So I just took my snips and I relieved this die cut of its stem and flowers, or stem and leaves. Only 4.5 if you count whole dimensionals. I know, it's barely any at all. I mean, it's almost not enough. That's another way to look at that, is almost not enough. All right, so I'm just putting a little bit of liquid glue on the back of that flower. And I'm going to line it up with the Old Olive, sorry, die. And now I have a petal pink flower with appropriately colored leaves and stem. Easy and also quite peasy, really. So now let's go ahead and adhere this, and we're going to put these on. I want this one under my flower and that one on my flower, and then this one is going to go over the top. All right. Now I also know that I'm going to have a sentiment that is going to be this big right here. So I will sometimes use, if I haven't cut my sentiment out, I will sometimes use my die to show me where to be. And I am good with a little bit of stem under there, but I want it all lined up. Does that make sense? I don't want it to look like this. Like that. That for some reason that gives me the heebies and the jeebies, and I don't like it. So I want my little collage of foliage to look like this. So I've picked it up with my tweezers, and I'm just going to put a little bit of liquid glue on everything I can see. And I'm probably going to have to put some more on this top one here, but that's okay. We'll have everything else pretty much where we want it. So we're going to go right about there, just like that. Okay, now this one I need to add a little more glue to the back because I couldn't find it, you know what I mean? All right, so I'm going to line that stem up, but I want it overlapping my flower up here, just like that. Okay, so we can let that set for just a minute. I know, this is the best die cut leaf ever. I just love it. While that dries, I'll go ahead and make us a sentimente. Oh, I guess I should have gotten it out of the stamp case, huh? Weird. All right, so let's get Happy Birthday out. I've got a few die cuts in here. We almost had a yellow flower, but I decided to go pink. Yellow would have been okay too. But I really like how the pink and all the browns, and I will say this. I actually used my, let me show you this. I actually used my color wheel. I found Cherry Cobbler. Cherry Cobbler is the red that's in the Need for Tweed. And I looked around and I found that if I put Cherry Cobbler, I could move the analogous wheel around, and I could find that Petal Pink was kind of a good one with Cherry Cobbler and Mossy Meadow / Old Olive. So that's how I picked the Petal Pink. I obviously could have come across the wheel and used Lemon Lolly or even my Daffodil Delight, and it still would have been spot on. So whatever makes you happy, but don't be afraid to pull out your color wheel and use it. All right. So we're going to stamp Happy Birthday to you on a piece of basic beige, like so. And then I'm going to go briefly off screen, hello Renee, and die cut it with this die. Okay, so I'll be right back. Not really going anywhere, but not where you can see me either. And Addie's a little worried because there was some thunder, and she doesn't like thunder. Yeah, she's talking to me, telling me that I shouldn't like thunder either. I want that to be a little straighter. It wiggled, sorry guys. Okay. Here we go. Now I got it. There we go. You can hear it cracking and popping. So for those of you who are new to a Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, cracking and popping is perfectly normal. Kind of like my knees at Pilates. Yes, when it's quiet in the studio, you can hear all the sounds. Okay, so here's where we're going to put this little guy. But first, I'm going to make us a little bow. I've got some crumb cake baker's twine. And I'm going to use a double length of it. Now, I could make a double loop bow with some linen thread. I could have done that, but this is what I pulled out, and so that's what I'm going to do. I don't particularly care for linen, for the double loop bows with the baker's twine. It just doesn't lay quite right, okay? And I want this to be pretty large, so I need to have a little bit more. I know, Marva, she's... And I'm trying very hard to do the, you know, really kind of ignore the whole thing and let her sit on my lap so that she can, but she just shakes like a little leaf. It's really kind of pathetic. I feel kind of bad for her when it's happening. And of course then Finn is like, well, if she's going to be scared, I guess I better be scared. And so then everybody is scared for a while. All right, so before I cut it off, you can see I'm still attached to my twine there. Before I cut it off, I'm going to be sure I have it as big as I want, and I do. So we'll cut that off, cut this down, and give that a little haircut there. And then I'm going to use a little bit of liquid glue to put this right about here. Liquid glue for me works just fine for bows. You do have to give it a second to dry, but it's a little bit less dimension, so it makes it a little bit easier for me to get sentiments and whatnot over the top. But we'll let that dry for a second. And then this guy is going to go right over the top with some dimensionals. And I think we're going to want to use some double stacked because that's still kind of big. So I'll put a couple of dimensionals down. This one may even need 3 right here because it's way off of the mark. But I'm going to go with 2 to start with to see what we got. Okay. Line up there a little better, Mary. Okay. Don't get it on your twine. All right, so let's get the covers off of there. See, it slows me down when I know I have to aim for a little thingy. Yes, Finn will typically sit next to the chair so I can put my hand down on him because he does understand that he's too big to be in my lap, really. It's not to say that he doesn't get up halfway in my lap in the evenings for a little cuddling, but he usually figures it out. Okay, I can tell, you can tell just looking at that, that's going to need another dimensional. And what I'm going to do while I have these out and right here, I'm putting that third one on. Okay, so now I have 2 dimensionals stacked here and 3 dimensionals stacked there. And I'm going to take a dimensional right here and using my tweezers, I am going to slide that under this leaf just to give it a little support and to make those support my sentiment better. All right? Side, okay, okay. And then we'll get our lids off of here. I think I got a lid on there still. Okay, now let's see if I can get it straight. The next thing is, will Mary Dethridge get the sentiment straight? Possibly, yes, she did. Okay. And then you can see how you're looking wobbly wise, and I'm going to slide a double stack under there to give it a little more support. Now this is a card that even though my card front is not particularly popped up too far, it's going to have some thickness to it, so you're probably going to have a little extra postage. I have it on authority that the postage is going up again in July, so if you buy forever stamps and you find yourself a little low, this would be a good time to stock up. Actually, that's on my list for today, is to go to the USPS website and get some more Stampas. All right, we'll slide that right there. And I think that's good. That's good. All right, to finish off our card front, I'm going to use some neutrals matte dots in basic beige. And we're going to put 3 out here. 2 biggies. 2 biggies and a little one like that right there. And then I'm going to put a couple down here in the corner. We'll put 1 big one and 1 small one for a total of 5. So there is our card front. And that is quite crookedy, isn't it? Let me fix that. Okay, there we go. Oof. That was like, it was like I didn't even measure at all. Okay, so now it's good. Phew. Now, for the inside, I was real simple. Very, very simple. I took this small flower, and we're just going to stamp it once in the corner in pecan pie. Thank you, guys. Hey, Karen, appreciate you coming. just going to stamp it right down here in the corner, like so. And we'll do the same on our envelope. And I want it in this corner because this flower fits better in this corner in Mary's brain, and so the post office is just going to have to cope. All right. So that's all we're doing. Now, could you color this flower? Absolutely. If I was going to color this flower, I would probably use a blender pen and my Petal Pink ink pad. You guys want me to do that? Should I try that on this one? What do you think? Yay or nay? Thumbs up or no? Tell me. So, I'm waiting for some answers. Let me know. Am I coloring or am I leaving it plain like this? Do, 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 do. I have a yes. I have a yes. I have a yes. Okay, let me get my Petal Pink ink pad out and find a blender pen. This looks like it's pretty good. It's got some pink on it. We're good. All right. So to do this, what I would do, well, I not only would, I actually am. I'm just dabbing my blender pen in the Petal Pink, getting some of the ink off of it, and just kind of going out like that from the edges. And I am going to leave the leaves plain. This is just going to be adding a smidgen of color. Okay, so it's very soft. That one was so soft you couldn't even see it. But when you're coloring the flowers, I recommend you come from the inside to the outside and use very light brush strokes. You can always go back and add, but it's a lot harder to take them off. Take it off. So there it is colored. We'll do the same on the envelope. And you can see every time I dab in my ink pad, I'm kind of brushing it off on my scratch pad. Y'all, of all the tools in our arsenal, a grid paper is like my favorite thing. For the longest time, I didn't use it, and now I can't even imagine not using it. Okay, so there is how it looks colored. I like it too. I like them both. The blender, oh, you mean the Stampin' blend? Yes, it would be quite a bit lighter. In fact, I have a piece of, look here. Look at this. This is like interactive practically. All right, I'm going to just use my scrap here, and I'll just put the flower. And let's pull out my Petal Pink Stampin' blends, and I'm going to start with the light ones. Addie, for the love of Pete. You'll be surprised to know somebody came in the house. Oh my goodness. See, now I prefer the one with the blender pen and the ink pad over this one that gives a little more texture and it's just a little lighter. So you can do whichever makes you smile. That's the whole point, is to make your cards, make you and your recipient smile. So whichever one works for you, you can use. All right, so let's go ahead and adhere this to the inside of our card base with some liquid glue. Sorry for that little interruption there, guys. You know, 9 years with my dog who doesn't bark at things like somebody coming in the back door. It's taking a little getting used to, just saying. Okay, so there's that. And then I've got another piece of the Need for Tweed DSP that I will put on the envelope flap, and we will be done ski. All right. It's cool when you have all of the coloring tools available to you to pick. You can just try any of them, and one of them is going to speak to you when you see it, and you'll be like, uh-huh, there it is. The aha moment. And then we'll just do the world's easiest fussy cut. And perhaps you noticed I managed to cut my DSP just a little shy. That's okay. I can go back and trim it if you want. Now the truth is when it's closed, you really can't tell, but I can tell because I can see it. So I'm just going to come right across here and trim across that extra bit on my envelope flap. All right. I promise there's plenty of sticky there to do that. All right, so there we go. We have 2 cards, same exact cards, but I did do a little different on the inside, so you can choose which one you prefer, like that. All right? All right, guys, I appreciate y'all coming. Appreciate you giving me that 30 minutes of grace so that I could go do my Pilates. I hope I will see you on Saturday. I do not know what we're going to make yet, but I hope you will like it. Enjoy the rest of your week, and see you on Saturday. Ta.